We're here at the Burning Man Festival, a free-thinking festival where people all across the globe come to Nevada in the desert to create their own city, to escape reality, to indulge in a life of sex, drugs, a city that promotes orgies, a city that promotes drug use, drunkenness.
Burning Man, sinful or helpful? Welcome back to the JP React Channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. So the festival, Burning Man, it just ended this year. It's where approximately 80,000 people go into the desert in Nevada, and there is widespread drug use, not necessarily everyone, but a lot of people there. And you saw in the opening, there's a lot of promiscuity. There's an orgy dome, and what happens there apparently is exactly what you'd think happens there. So I bring this up because I think there's a question worth exploring. Is this kind of festival, Burning Man itself, is it beneficial? Is it helpful? Or is it sinful? Or does it depend on how you approach it? And I get curious about this because one of my biggest pet peeves is when people disguise their dysfunctional behavior, and let's just say that's drunk, do drugs, be promiscuous, and that's disguised and actually reframed. They 1984 themselves to say, what I'm doing is beneficial to me. It's for my growth. It's for my self-expression. It's healing. Well, I don't like it when tyrants fool people, and I don't like it when people fool themselves. So I wanted to explore this little topic with you, and as you can see as the video's playing, a little bit of Burning Man footage. And I think this is a question worth exploring. It's a question a lot of people that go to Burning Man wouldn't want to ask. They have their own propaganda that says, no, Burning Man, it's so beneficial, man. It's so beneficial. It's so beneficial. Let me tell you about everything that happened there because it was so fulfilling. I have to spill it on you to justify my actions there. Disclaimer, I've never been to Burning Man, and I am 100% committed to not going. So first things first, let's take a look at the 10 principles of Burning Man taken from the burningman.org website. Principle number 1, radical inclusion. Anyone may be a part of Burning Man. We welcome and respect the stranger. No prerequisites exist for participation in our community. You do have to spend thousands of dollars to get there. Then it's at least over $1,000 for a ticket there. More if you want to park your car. Not to mention summer of either 2020 or 2021, Burning Man wasn't so inclusive. They were requiring vaccine cards to get in. That's quite inclusive. Anyway, principle number 2 is gifting. Burning Man is devoted to acts of gift giving. Principle number 3, decommodification. That basically means they don't accept sponsors. They just accept pretty darn high ticket prices to get in. We're not about the money from those people. We're about the money from you. No judgment, just observing it. Principle number 4, radical self-reliance. All right, I like the way that sounds. I like me some self-reliance, self-responsibility. I think the world needs more of it. Principle number 5, radical self-expression. That could be good. That can be horrible as well. Go off, drink your own urine, dance like a maniac. I'm expressing myself. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see it, but it seems like you want a lot of people to see you self-expressing. Why do you have to be observed by 80,000 people to self-express in a way that you never do any other time of the year? I'm just asking the questions. Principle number 6, communal effort. It's a community. Hopefully it's not communism, but it starts to resemble a little bit of a communist utopia when you look at these principles. Civic responsibility, the next principle. We value civil society. Well, I do too. Principle number 8, leave no trace. It means don't litter. Pick up after yourself. Principle number 9, participation. Our community is committed to a radically participatory ethic. And finally, principle number 10 of Burning Man, immediacy. Immediate experience is, in many ways, the most important touchstone of value in our culture. And we have the mission of Burning Man. The mission of Burning Man Project is to facilitate and extend the culture that has issued from the Burning Man event into the larger world. So I guess whatever happens at Burning Man, the mission is to make that kind of thing happen more in the outer world. Drugs, drunkenness, and promiscuity. Not like the outer world is really lacking in that. is it? Now, I believe truth comes to us in comedy, at least some truth through comedy. So leave it to the trolls of Burning Man to give you a bit of a perspective. I've done plenty of reaction to his political troll videos in the past. This comes from the YouTube channel No Cap on God. Well, he went to Burning Man and he was trolling people. And the first person you'll see him troll after the little intro to his video surprised me. Now get this, a little behind the scenes story. I was just looking at this video because I check out his stuff periodically. It's like, he has some good stuff I want to see. Oh, Burning Man video. Let me see what he did in that video. And I saw a friend of mine, the first person he was trolling, my friend Aubrey Marcus. He lives here in Austin. Aubrey's gone to Burning Man many times. And I just thought it was funny, him coming up in the video. It was a big surprise to me. Aubrey was a little bit trolled, but also Aubrey probably couldn't care less. So with that said, let's take it away with No Cap on God at Burning Man. We'll get back to this in just a second, but first, do you ever wish you felt better, looked better, and had more energy? Well, your health is the most valuable asset you will ever have. But unfortunately, regular healthcare is nothing more than disease management. But if you want more than that really low bar that's set in society, you need health optimization, and nobody does that better than MER Health. Regular healthcare denies you progressive treatment options, comprehensive lab work, and they typically lag years behind the most up-to-date research. MER Health represents a paradigm shift in how we approach medicine, empowering you to maximize your longevity and performance with the confidence that comes from knowing you have experts in your back pocket. That's why I use and trust MER Health with my own health optimization. From hormone optimization and cognitive enhancements to body composition, MER has you covered, all from the comfort of your home. You'll want to check out MER's optimization package. It includes the same elaborate panel that I get myself. And with those test results, the MER Health clinical team optimizes my personal protocol. To get the exact same panel and clinical oversight that I get myself, click the link in the video description or go to merrickhealth.com/jpreacts and use code JPReacts to get 10% off at checkout. I love MER Health. I think you will too. Now back to the video.
I'm Cosmo, the erotic mystic at Burning Man.
Why is it important for you to come out here? I hear you're free. I hear it's the truth.
Aubrey looks like he's been up all night and possibly working with some medicines.
Who are you? Who are you? What if you took all boundaries, all borders, all restrictions off? God is always with you. God is with you in every breath and every moment. God is. You get to remember that in places like this.
And when the dust settles, who will you be?
The most me I've ever been.
Another disclaimer though, Aubrey's a friend of mine and so many of my friends have gone to Burning Man. I'm not posing this question about Burning Man to at all discredit my friend. I want my friends doing what they want to do. Freedom! Don't let me in my ways be a dictator. I just know nothing about Burning Man appeals to me. It's not for me. But if friends of mine, if you go to Burning Man, like, awesome. I would love to invite you and also my friends to always question what they do and why they do it, and to not just believe everything they think, but question what they think. And like so many things that are framed to be self-growth, the lights, the benefits, the positive propaganda, quite frankly, some of it could be true, but positive propaganda nonetheless, is what's forward-facing. They oftentimes don't give nearly as much airtime, if you will, to the shadow side of it. For example, I believe the first day of Burning Man this year, there was a lady that died. or a person that died. Don't know his, her pronouns. Don't know what they died of. We could speculate, but in truth, I don't know. But that's not broadcast on their website. And here's just an example of, based on my morals, this is a shadow underbelly of Burning Man on the Cosmopolitan website. Here's what happens in the Orgy Dome, Burning Man's wildest sex party. And this mentions the Orgy Dome itself has over 5,000 people go into it over the course of Burning Man. And I read through this article, and I've seen other articles and reports about what happens at the Orgy Dome. And it's safe to say, based on these reports, not my firsthand experience, that what happens there is pretty much exactly what you'd think is gonna happen there. I'm not actually gonna read any of this article out loud because it's very graphic, and that kind of sexual graphicness and promiscuity. I don't even know your name, but we're doing the most graphic stuff together. That doesn't feel good to me, so I'm not gonna barf that on you. But nonetheless, I will just raise this point. There is what some of us would judge to be a very shadowy underbelly of Burning Man. Now, someone who I've talked about in a recent video is a young Christian man named Bryce Crawford. He likes to go up to people in the street, offer them a very Christian perspective. He prays for the people. It's very beautiful. And he tends to go into places, whether it's a pride event, homeless people, where people need God, where people are living in a place or acting pretty damn immoral or degenerate. So he went to Burning Man this year. So let's take a look at what Bryce Crawford had to say and some of the people he talked to at Burning Man.
Burning Man becomes the third largest city in Nevada for a week. Disguised underneath Burning Man, you have a life of sex, drugs, and promiscuity.
I like his specific words, disguised underneath Burning Man. Is a life of sex, drugs, and promiscuity. Based on how Burning Man's presented, it does appear as though it's very intentionally disguised, rather than that being as transparent as the rest of Burning Man.
We've been so excited to share the love of Jesus here and kind of meet people where they're at. I think this is the last place people would expect Jesus to encounter them. So what a better place to be than at the darkest event in the year, the darkest event in Nevada, Burning Man. Come here and love people well. It's going to be amazing.
The darkest event of the year, the darkest event in Nevada. Man, a lot of people at Burning Man, they're of the, like, hey bro, I'm spiritual, not religious mindset. So a lot of them probably consider this to be like the lightest event where you get closer to God. But I love this different perspective where Bryce is here challenging people on it, considering maybe the devil masquerades as an angel in disguise. Maybe what you think is light and moving you towards God, maybe it's actually darkness. Maybe it's moving you in the opposite direction of God. And of course, he's got his Christian values. It's one perspective. I happen to agree with a lot of them. Probably not all of them, but a lot of them. So let's take a look at Bryce talking specifically one-on-one, one-on-two with a couple.
How long have you guys been coming to Burning Man?
This is my 10th year.
10th
my
year.
anniversary.
First year.
First year.
Then.
You guys personally, what is your soul hungry for when you come to Burning Man?
For me, it's actually creativity, which is my spirituality, I suppose. I work in the creative world myself, but it's very corporate. Coming here, it's all the corporateness has gone away,
right?
And it's all pure creativity is left, and that's where I rejuvenate and thrive on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The same for him, but with him as well. But
Yeah.
I do have to say, cool, creativity. I love that. My creativity would be dampened in this environment. And by the way, I don't know what motivates a person to fasten deer antlers onto a hat like that. Like, yeah, it's creative. It seems like pretty crappy creativity. My judgment, I got my judgments. I just say them out loud instead of pretending like I don't have them. Let's hear more.
more so connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Everyone is connecting on all different levels. The ego is out, the pride is out. Everyone can be themselves, very authentic as well. So everyone.
By the way, that is pure spiritual bypassing language. It's pure BS. Everyone here, their ego is out, as in like not here. Their pride is not there. That is pure bypassing. There's plenty you could see there that's pure ego. And I think one of the most egotistical things that especially New Age spiritual people do is they pretend they don't have an ego. I'm in such a beautiful spiritual space that I have no ego, because that makes me feel more significant, not having an ego. That means I'm more evolved, doesn't it? So anyway, she sounds lovely, softly spoken, just a delight to listen to with that foreign accent, but I will call it out. I've seen it a million times. That is pure spiritual bypassing BS language.
They can be themselves.
People can be themselves here. You mean go and act differently than how they always are? It's almost like it's a 7-day period where you can be anything but yourself. Maybe who you are the other 358 days of the year, maybe that's who you actually are. And then who you go pretend to be, like, are they really deer antler people, or are they pretending to be deer antler people? I just got questions for her.
Like when this life is over, what happens for you?
Whoa, that's a tough one. I always think that nothing, actually, because the way I see it is...
It's a very spiritual perspective. Nothing.
What was life like before you were born? No one's got that memory, of course.
Right.
That's what I feel like death is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I feel it sort of ends. But then, of course, your legacy remains on.
Right.
And that's what we spend a lifetime making, I feel. So making the temple, designing stuff, that's all part of history.
Absolutely.
And that's your legacy you leave behind.
Absolutely.
His legacy will actually be taken down the moment Burning Man ends.
Yourself, I feel you become part of the earth again.
Yeah.
And your actual conscious doesn't exist anymore, in my opinion.
Wow, super cool. What about you?
Yeah, it's not something that I've really thought about very deeply.
Yeah.
But I guess, well, first thing that comes to mind is probably just black.
Black. That is racist of her. But before we go on and hear what else she has to say, I just want to point out Bryce Crawford, the man on the left. Watch how intently he is listening. Like, he's not in a place of judgment right now. He is in a place of understanding. Now, he probably does not agree with them. You'll probably hear more about that in a second. But how beautiful is it? He is out to first understand before he's looking to be understood with his Christian perspective. Watch him in his understanding state of mind.
Wow.
And then when you're buried back down the ground, circle back into life, I think.
Can I share a little bit of my story with you guys?
Absolutely.
My spiritual journey. I'm from Georgia. It's in the South. Christianity as an organized religion is super popular down there, but I hated everything to do with God. I even went to a private Christian school. I hated everything about God. And I grew a lot of bitter resentment because there were a lot of people in my community that were Christian with their mouth, but their actions were so far from God. And so I was like, these guys are hypocrites. God's got to be a hypocrite. I hated it all.
I love that. A Christian guy who can say, I hear a lot of Christians who are just hypocrites. They're Christian with their mouth, but not Christian with their actions and maybe internal relationship.
With major depression, anxiety. And so that was the thing that would weigh me down all the time. And that stuff feels like an incurable disease. It just feels like the only way to get rid of that is to not exist anymore. And so I would struggle and contemplate my life. I felt like I had no purpose. I hated waking up in the morning, and at nighttime I just would hope I wouldn't wake up some nights. And there was a night that I was going to get ready to take my life. And I went to go have my last meal at a restaurant, and I had a supernatural encounter with Jesus. And I'm sitting there, and I had no idea what to think of it, because my thoughts of Christianity and anything to do with Jesus and spirituality was super negative. And so I was like, all right, God, like, if you're real, take away my anxiety and depression. Because I'm like, I can't get rid of it. Since that day, I haven't had anxiety or depression. Wow. And so when I had that encounter, I started like doing some research. I had a hole in my heart, and I couldn't do anything to fill the hole in my heart. And it felt like I was working, whether I was, depressed and watching Netflix, trying to fill that in, or like distracting myself with friends and stuff, and it never worked. And then I remember reading about Jesus.
By the way, sorry to interrupt him. My apologies, Bryce Crawford. Now look at the people on the right. They actually seem tuned in and interested, and they're now seeking to understand Bryce Crawford. Though they obviously don't have pre-existing Christian beliefs. You just heard what they think happens when you die. Like, nothing, it's black, nothing happens. Cool. But because I think Bryce Crawford led by example, he was first very genuinely trying to understand. Now that's being reciprocated by this couple on the right. Now they want to understand him because they feel understood. They feel connected to. Now they want a deeper connection with him by understanding him. This, my friends, is a beautiful thing that the world needs more of. But if we're looking at other people we don't agree with, clearly they don't agree with each other, then it's very easy to say, I don't want to understand you, we don't agree. And it's just more disconnection, more division between people, and more division in our world. This is a great example.
And they called him the Prince of Peace. And I was like, it's so interesting. He became the peace in my storm. And I learned to dance in the rain with Jesus, and it became a beautiful thing. And so Jesus totally removed my depression and anxiety. And I thought it was so beautiful that when he dies on the cross for humankind, all of sin, past, present, and future, any wickedness in the world, so depression, anxiety, physical sickness like broken bones, cancer, all of that, Jesus dies for on the cross. He resurrected 3 days later, and he says, I defeated this junk. So when you put your faith and trust in me, you have purpose, you have a home. There's a place you go. And so when I put my faith and trust in him, I found myself joyful, no more depression, no more anxiety. And it was a beautiful thing. Like you guys say, well, it goes all black for us. You guys are amazing, incredible human beings. And I think you guys are valuable because I personally believe you guys are made in the image of God. And I think you guys are very incredible people.
Thank you.
And I wanted to encourage you guys with that. Would it be okay if I blessed you guys and prayed for you guys? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, could I hold your guys' hands and pray for you guys? Here we go. Jesus, thank you so much for my friends here, God. We just bless them. God, we just thank you that you love them and that you brought us together. Jesus, thank you for their vulnerability and kind heart. God, would you just continue to bless them, encounter them in dreams and visions. God, send people their way to represent yourself to them the right way. God, we just bless them. Thank you so much for their lives. In Jesus' name, amen. Bless you guys. Thank you so much. Can I give you guys a hug?
Of course.
So nice to meet you guys.
That is beautiful and probably what people at Burning Man didn't expect, a Christian perspective. It's just one perspective. And with that said, is Burning Man beneficial? Is it sinful? Or does it depend on how you approach it, how you are, and what you do there? I don't know. I just have the question. But with whatever level of knowledge you have about Burning Man, or if you've been there, please inform the Awakened community your thoughts on it in the comments below. I'll look forward to seeing them, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, stay awake, but not woke.